So yeah, we're just about finished up our first full week in camp. I guess tomorrow will be the 1 week post report date. So it's been a really productive 6 days so far. 5 practices that we've gotten in, and feel really good about where our team's at. A couple things in terms of personnel and roster notes to make mention of. Obviously in the game of football, you look around at the NFL right now and see some of the injuries that are happening. This time of year, it's unfortunate, and we're not without our own incident. And in our 5th year, redshirt senior cornerback DeAndre Simmons had a season-ending injury yesterday in practice, which was really hard for him, but for us. He's a brother of ours. He's a guy that's been in this program and has sacrificed a lot to put himself in a position to have a great senior year. And that was a hard loss for all of us. But DeAndre's an incredible young man, and he'll really bounce back from this. And we stand behind him 100%. On a much more positive note, pretty incredibly, we set out to see all of our players graduate, and very happy to report that Leon Allen is a college graduate. He finished up his coursework this summer, and all that young man's been through off the field, on the field, personal, family, injuries, and this being his 6th year. I've known him much longer than 9 months, and I can't tell you how proud I am for him to be the very first college graduate from a 4-year institution in his family. That's life-changing stuff, and he'll be rejoining our football team. So he's back with us, and we'll have a chance to see him compete, and get back in shape. And but he took care of his business in the classroom, and that's to be applauded as far and wide as there is a WKU network. I'm extremely proud to say that he's going to be a graduate after this summer semester. So with that, we'll open it up for questions.
Mike, can I start right there with Leon? I never saw him play, but obviously you've probably seen video of him playing. What does it say about him for a guy with those skills to deal with that adversity and accomplish getting back on the field, but more so, like you said, a heck of an accomplishment off the field? What does it say about Leon Allen?
Well, it says, first off, that Leon, as much as his life and certainly his 6 years here at Western Kentucky, has been adverse. Some of it self-inflicted. Some of it, completely, inflicted upon him through injury and just bad circumstances. But the one thing I'll say that Leon Allen will be known as is somebody who's a fighter, somebody who is not going to quit, not going to give up on the mission. And a lot of people bet against him to number one, come back, and number 2, to get his degree. And that was something that he looked me in the eyes and said he wants to do it, and he did that. And we're incredibly proud of him, and he sticks it out. That's one thing about Leon. He has stuck it out, and since we've been here, the new coaching staff, 9 months, he's been nothing but making good decisions off the field. He's fought in the classroom. He's made significant strides this summer. So really proud of his growth as a man, and now as a father. I had a chance to meet his little boy Amari this morning in the parking lot, right as he was coming in to rejoin the football team, and he's so proud to show off his little baby boy. So pretty awesome stuff.
Do you know if DeAndre is planning on seeking a medical red shirt and trying to play again next year? Or?
Yeah, we'll do everything possible to hopefully give him another opportunity to play. But the hard part is he redshirted as a freshman. He's a redshirt. He's had a pretty clean bill of health. So we'll kind of see what the NCAA will allow us to do. I mean, that's the hard part about this. You'd love to see, in this particular instance, a guy get an opportunity, and that's something that I really do think the NCAA should look into, is training camp injuries in their 5th year. I mean, nobody's really gaining an advantage by allowing them to pursue a 6th year. So, we'll definitely work with him to see what we can possibly do, and we'll go to whatever level we need to go to try to get another year for him to play college football.
How does that injury affect your all's rotation at cornerback and the people that are going to be playing that position now?
Well, that was a big thing in our team meeting last night. Is number one, to hurt for our brother, to share in that agony together, and then once we had a chance to get together and lock arms and say some prayers for DeAndre and his recovery. Right after that, we were able to move on to, when great adversity strikes, it also opens up great opportunity. And right now that's Roger Cray, having an opportunity as an incoming freshman with spring ball behind him to really compete with Dre Ferris. Dre Ferris is a very smart, very heady corner that uses his body incredibly well. Is very smart and conscientious, and I think Dre Ferris and Roger Cray will give us some outstanding competition at that other corner spot opposite Joe Brown.
Diggy, how tough was that to see a teammate go down? How do you guys, as defensive players, help lift up some of these younger guys playing that position now?
Yeah, it was a very tough incident for DeAndre, but like Coach said, next guy out. So the guys that are getting the reps, we're helping them out, making sure they feel comfortable, running with the one. So.
Question for Coach. I know we kind of talked about this during fall camp, but just overall, just your thoughts just on the progression that really the offense and defense has made, just adjusting to this new scene.
Yeah, really been pleased with both sides of the ball, and just the work that came from really day 1 to day 15 of spring practice. You kind of leave it there, and you think you're going to have to go back to square one when fall camp starts. And going through the first 5 practices, this guy right here to my left, this guy here to my right, they made significant impacts on their sides of the ball to take this summer upon them and lead the player run practices. And so I feel great about us having the DNA of our offense. Really pretty much a good. We've got a lot of defense in, a lot of calls in to this point through the first week, and we could go out and play a game in terms of scheme today. We're not quite there yet. The next step for us is becoming game ready in terms of our overall operation, personnel, substitution, special teams coming up. And so that's what we're going to do from here on out. In camp, play a lot of game operation style, game ready type football situations. And I know these guys love that anyway. They like to go out there and play and not just be in drills all the time. So that's going to be our next step to get game ready.
How's it different for you running the show this time around? I'm sure you're learning as well.
It's been good. It's interesting. You just have to think about so many more things. Training camp in years past, and just like last year, I'm just thinking solely about the quarterback position. And in all honesty, the last 2 years at Notre Dame, there was a lot to think about at the quarterback position. That's changed my. You become involved in 110, and really even with the support staff and all that, 140 people's decisions. You're at the top of all that. So I enjoy it. There's a lot of small things that come up every single day, and they're fun to work through.
At what point do you guys start prepping for week 1?
Yeah, that'll probably be so. We'll get through camp. A real traditional camp of about 2.5 weeks. When we start getting to kind of day 17, day 18, that's when we'll start to really introduce what we do from a prep standpoint for Eastern Kentucky. The great thing about EKU, we'll see a lot of the similar formations on both sides of the ball, structurally of defense, and there's a lot of carryover. So we're getting that right now, which is awesome. If we were playing a stacked bear monster front defense week 1, and we'd have to start thinking about prepping for that. That's not really a modern off defense anymore. It was back in the 80s. But, we'd have to prepare for that. But you see there's a lot of carryover between EKU and what our defense does and our offensive schemes.
Coach, following up on, just talk about renewing the rivalry with Eastern and opening with them, and just talk a little bit about what that means to the program and what it'll mean to them, because, you guys will be favorites, and just a little bit about having to be ready for that game, because
it's going to be an awesome game. I expect the stadium to be rocking. Just an opportunity, in-state rivalry. you know, we're gonna always expect to get everybody's best shot, but particularly, you know, Eastern Kentucky's best shot. There's gonna be players on that team that understand the history of that rivalry, because they, you know, if parents might have gone to school at EKU, or the dad played ball at EKU. There's quite a few on that team, so they're gonna have their own, you know, form of the rivalry ready for that game. But you know, the thing about these guys is, you know, we're going to learn a little bit more about what this rivalry means to us when we have our player, you know, alumni practice here coming up in about 10 days. So I look forward to hearing those guys and telling some of the stories and some of the nasty games that happen between the Colonels and the Tops. You guys have gone pretty easy on Mike out here. Guy threw for like 75,000 yards last year. Nobody's asking him a question.
Well, for Mike, then, coaches credited your leadership during the summer. What kind of things did you do with the team, you know, to keep them getting ready for this camp?
I think it was easy because we all kind of have a thing to go together. Is learning this new offense. It's kind of our deal this offseason. We all had it upon ourselves. Whether you played last year, you didn't play, we all had something new to learn. So I think we took that as kind of our off-season project, and we did a really good job with it. I mean, not only me, but you got other senior leaders, and you know, Matt Nord, Jimmy Sims, Brendan Ray. We all kind of took it upon ourselves to be the leaders and teach the young guys. And some of us have gone through coaching changes, so we kind of helped them with that. So I think it was more of a group effort than anything, and I'm really proud of the strides we made.
This time last year, you were kind of a question mark, unknown, especially around the country throughout the league. Now you come in as the preseason player of the year. Thoughts on that?
I'm trying to kind of take camp the same way I did last year. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter about all that stuff. It's just wins and losses. So, I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. I kind of take it for what it is, and move on from that point. But I'm just all about having fun. You know, it's my last year, and I'm going to be out of here soon, and I'm just trying to enjoy every single day.
Mike, you have to replace a second-round pick in Forrest Lamp and arguably the greatest receiver in the school history in Tywon Taylor. How do you make those adjustments going into this season?
Well, we have to first and foremost create depth at those positions, and I'll give a lot of credit, just like Mr. White here said, to the offensive line this summer. They understand that Forrest Lamp's not going to walk into that room at any point in time and strap on 76 and go out and play for the Tops anytime. You know, and I'll give those guys credit. They grinded this summer. You know, we already talked about Matt Nord and what he did with his body, but that entire group, especially the five that we anticipate running out there game one, there's a synergy, there's a belief. You know, they travel in packs, you know, together, and they're in their positions. You know, you'll see right tackle, you know, right guard. You're looking at them, and they're in order, ready to come right at you and block you. So there's a different level of synergy to what that group is today than it was in the spring, which is it was a big attribute to Jeff Dart, the offensive line coach here, and certainly what you know, the Matt Nords of the world and Jimmy Sims, and I'll tell you, Dennis Edwards. There's some really good things going on in that group. At receiver, we're really talented there. That's one thing that you cannot take away from that group. There's talent, there's speed. And it's just really finding that, you know, that group of 5 to 6 that we know we can count on. You know, can we trust you? That's our question right now to the receiver group. Individually, can we trust you to be in position and catch the ball? They've been spectacular through 4 or 5 days. Today we took a little bit of a step back, but a lot of that's largely due to our defense playing really well today in some situational scrimmage football.
Joel and Mike, a question for each of you guys on respective side of the ball. Joel, can you name me a player defensively right now today who's under the radar that by the end of this season won't be under the radar? Mike, the same question to you on the offensive side.
Just one.
You can name more than that.
Yeah, there's a couple guys that are under the radar. Cy White, who's playing next to me, and Mike linebacker. I would say he's under the radar. He's a great player, athletic. He's going to have a good year this year. We have Terrell Green at safety, LeVar Johnson at nickel. So we have a couple guys who are going to play well this year.
I would probably go with Lucky Jackson. You know, Lucky's done great things, kind of like you guys hinted to. Tywon Taylor isn't coming back anytime soon, and he learned a lot from those guys, Tywon and Nicholas Norris and the guys before him. And he's kind of took it upon himself between him and the Cars fans to kind of be that alpha of the group and lead those guys. And don't get me wrong, I mean, we got Quinn Jernigan, Xavier Lane, Devin Nixon, who are flying right there with him. So it's kind of hard to pick one guy, but I would just say the receiver group as a whole is they kind of took it upon themselves to answer that question mark going into the season.
I'll follow that up. Who gives you guys the most trouble on the other side of the ball?
Good question. You know what? The guy that I just can't stand is Ben Holt. I can't stand that guy. You know, I'm always in the right behind the snap, and Ben Holt, he's calling our offensive plays out by formation. He's running through the gap, and he looks at you with this, you know, this little, you know, stinky grin on his face, and he's awesome. He makes it hard to defend because of his instincts, his intellect for the game of football, and also the fact that he can freelance from time to time, can he? So he's a guy that's a challenge to face, and he'll do great things and provide great depth at linebacker for us. You know, the other guy that we see from a defensive standpoint, you know, when Chris Johnson turns it on, he's unblockable. I mean that. When Chris Johnson turns it on, he is unblockable. He will literally live in your backfield, and that's a high calling for him. That's something he's got to live up to every day. But he's tough to deal with.
Coach, talk a little bit about Mike and his leadership. Obviously, as a quarterback, learning a completely new offense and having to teach those guys around you and really be that leader. Just talk about his leadership so far since you've been with the program.
Yeah, you know, I think that the thing that's a new development in the last week is we've divided up into to topper game teams. It's kind of like the Unity Olympics for our team, and they have nothing to do with position, class, anything like that. It's just there's 9 teams. They each have one of their assistant coaches for our team is their captain, and Mike's a captain for the team. You know, Mike got in front of the group and shared after the group met together. His topper game team met together, and the thing that really just stuck out to me about Mike is all the accolades, all the preseason hype. You know, everybody talking about Mike. You know, Mike, all he wanted to talk about were the other guys in his group, and he literally lit up like a Christmas tree talking about some of the accomplishments of other players on this team that are in his topper game team, and that was really neat to see. Not just that he's selfless and he'll say it in the media, you know, but actually that he gets excited to lift up and raise up his teammates. To me, that shows a level of caring that he has. And a level of empathy he has for his teammates that, you know, people will follow you when you care deeply about them, and that's who Mike White is.
Mike, talk about that. Has that been a challenge for you?
As far as learning the offense?
And just being a leader.
Okay, not really. I mean, when you're a quarterback, you're kind of forced to be a leader. That's your job, and I've learned from some great ones. Forrest Lamp, for example, Darrell Williams, Max Halpin, Tavon Taylor, they're all great leaders before me, and I kind of got the chance to learn from them and see their leadership styles and then kind of take on my own. But, I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, we're out there, we're just a bunch of kids playing football. So as long as you can keep it light and have fun with everyone, and don't get me wrong, I mean, we'll get on a guy if they're not doing right because we want to win at the end of the day. But me as a leader, I just want to make sure everybody's having fun and we're all enjoying ourselves and we get the goals that we set out to accomplish.
Mike, just to kind of talk more about the offense, this is the third offense that you've had to learn. Do you feel like there kind of is some benefits, like you know the process of like digging in the playbook and just kind of going through it?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think when you have to learn that many offenses, you know how to learn it. You have your own systems. You make flashcards when you first learn, and you study those flashcards like you're studying for a test. But it's all about repetition, going out there and getting the work, and it might be extra work. You might have to pull some guys off to the side after and work on something you didn't really get on practice, and coming in the meeting rooms and meeting with guys and watching film on your own. So it's all about hard work, and I learned that as a young buck, and I had my growing pains, and I learned from it. Try not to make the same mistake twice, but just really trust in the system and buy in.
Does it help at all going from one offensive guy to another? Well, like Jeff Braun was offensive mind as well. So going from one very offensive-minded coach to another, does that help your transition at all?
It does, and it always helps playing for a quarterback. Whenever your head coach is a quarterback, he knows exactly what you're thinking and exactly what you're seeing, and he'll explain it to you like, oh, it says it this way, but when you get on the field and you get this look, it's really like this. So it's really easy to bounce ideas off your head coach when he played the position and he knows exactly what you're going through.
It's fun for a head coach that wasn't a very good quarterback to live vicariously through somebody who can throw the ball with accuracy all the time. So that's really fun for me.
Coach, you had the off-field incident, which has led to some suspensions this season. How have you had the team keep focused on getting prepared for the season, not worried about it?
It's really that's in the past in terms of the incident. Certainly there's still pending legal matters that are coming up. I believe in here in the next 2 days will be the first thing that comes from a legal standpoint. But I mean, that happened. It was almost a half a year ago, to be honest. I mean, I know it's been it's slow news cycle here in Bowling Green, which is a good thing. But it seems like this has resurfaced. It's really half a year ago. We feel awful about what it was, and really learned from it, and have done a great job of representing our brand in a much more positive manner. And we've all been focusing on really the goals ahead, and we've kept our eye on the prize, and that's where we're at. But there's certainly going to be there'll be suspensions. Games is really what you have to suspend people for. Suspending somebody from spring ball and then playing in the opener, to me that doesn't really do anything for you.
So are they suspended until the legal process is resolved, or what's?
Yeah, so the game suspension will be a component of what happens due to the legal process.
Mike, how big is it having DeAndre Furby back behind you?
Furby's great. Having him healthy is just, it's a completely different offense when you see the receivers we have and then the backfield we have with Quentin Baker as well. It's big. You got a veteran guy. He's played as a redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore until he got hurt. It's huge, and the transformation he made over the summer with his body is unbelievable. He looks like a completely different player out there. So we're lucky to have him.
What has he done? Is he faster?
Yeah, quicker, kind of changed his body in a good way, dropped a couple pounds, got leaner, and I wouldn't want to tackle him. Let's put it that way.
What you see as a defensive player facing DeAndre Furby, just how good of a year do you think he's going to have?
I think he's going to have a great year. Obviously, getting hurt last year, he's eager to get back. So he's looked really good this first week of camp. He's worked his butt off all off season, all summer. So for sure, I think he's ready to go, ready to have a good year.
Joel and Mike, aside from changing player personnel through graduation, et cetera, what can you attribute to the coaching staff? What is the biggest difference from last year's team to this year's team attributable to the change in the coaching?
I would say just attention to detail with everything we do. It's easy to harp on details in a route to make sure you get to this much because we want to execute that play. But when you demand more out of players in the classroom and in the community, it just makes them better people, and it just helps in the game of life, which is way more important than the game of football. So I would say just detail, just really detail oriented, and just know the importance of that.
Mike, are you seeing some improvement in Justin Johnson now that he's had a spring to really learn, had a summer to learn, and in the first week of fall camp, are you seeing some gains in his confidence playing football?
Definitely. He looks like a different player than he did when he first put the pads on, but he still looks really big out there, which is a good catch radius for him. But he's put in the work, the necessary work. He's fell in love with the grind. I think it's a different grind than basketball, but he knows how to work. I think that was his mantra as a basketball player, and he's brought that over to football and learned from it and adapted to it.
And the skills that Mike Wandine brings to the tight end position, how useful is that for you as a quarterback, the different things he can do?
It's very useful. It creates mismatches. Whenever you have a tight end that can demand attention over the middle of the field, it opens up windows for your playmakers outside. And whenever they want to concentrate on the outside, you got him inside. So it makes it hard on a defense and a lot easier on me.
Iggy, you guys are picked to win Conference USA again. That'd make 3 straight years, something that's not really been done in the league. Do you guys enjoy that target on your back and everybody gunning for you guys?
I think so. I think, with what we've done the past 2 years, it'd be nice to go out, with a three-peat. So it's not something that we use as motivation. We're already self-motivated, but it is something that we look at to accomplish.
Anything else?
Yeah, one more. Coach, after the spring game, one player mentioned that their goal was to go undefeated and play in a New Year's Six bowl. So what is it like coming into your first head coaching job and the players are that confident in their ability and they're setting the bar kind of high for you in a sense?
Well, there's an old mantra: if you aim at nothing, you're going to hit it. And we gotta lay out our goals, and that's what we did day one. The day that I got hired here, and the way that this program has a swagger about them, we had to set the bar as high as possible for this program because it's realistic, but it's going to take a lot of work, and they get that. We don't just believe that just because they've won 11, 12 games the last couple of years that all of a sudden they're just going to place us in one of those bowl games. It's going to take a lot of work, but I think just going back to that, if you aim small, that's where you're going to end up. We got to aim big and give it all we got, and we'll do it again. And we'll just do it over and over. Keep going back to it, and I love the fact that that's where our eyes are set. They're fixed on that prize, and that's what really the pursuit has been about is getting to that place in this program, especially for this group of seniors and the guys that come below, underneath them.
Coach, guys, thank you.
Thank you.